Let's talk about the rise of new Albion striker Daryl Dike. Hello and welcome back to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel, where of course we're giving you all the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion, exclusive to you guys here on YouTube. We're back again today with another video for you. We're going to be discussing the rise of Daryl Dike, obviously Albion's new striker signed on a permanent deal from Orlando City in America. We'll be chatting a little bit about sort of how he's got to this position, how has he managed to sort of get his way up to this status in football, and how has he managed to get himself his move to West Bromwich Albion. But before we get into it, before we start taking a look at his story, it's sort of a bit of background about him for you guys to get to know him a little bit better. Make sure you subscribe to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel, even if you're not an Albion fan. If you're an Orlando fan, you're looking to keep up with how Daryl's getting on, or you're an American, the US men's national team fan, make sure you subscribe, because there'll be so much Daryl Dike content if that is what you wish for. Obviously, we'll be documenting every single one of his games here at West Bromwich Albion on the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe, comment your thoughts. Comment your memories, I guess, if you're an Orlando City or US men's national team fan. Comment them down in the comment section below. If you're an Albion fan, comment what you think about him. Comment what you think that he's going to bring to West Brom. And as I said, be sure to subscribe. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I hope this video can be the one to do it. So let's start off. Obviously, there'll be goals and highlights coming in this as well, so make sure you keep an eye out for those as well. They'll be popping up over the video. But yeah, if we start with where Daryl Dike sort of started his life, I guess. He was born in Edmond in Oklahoma in the year of 2000. He played for his local soccer team, Edmond High School as well. And he was kind of a footballer from the beginning, really. I think there's a lot of things that, a lot of, fans of and sort of watchers of him from an early age have seen. He captained the side from, his second year of high school onwards. I mean, that is amazing, to be so young and to be captaining a side, showing some leadership. And even as a striker, I mean, to captain a side really is pretty amazing, because, there's a lot of pressure coming with that. And as a striker, to be able to lead your team from the front, you don't see too many strikers as captains, which is interesting. I mean, perhaps maybe they picked the best player. I don't know who he went to high school with. He could have been to high school with anybody, but it's interesting to see how he got the captain's armband quite early on, and how he managed to get involved from that early age. 3-time Oklahoma Offensive Player of the Season, and in 2018 he was named the Player of the Year for the state of Oklahoma, which is pretty amazing. Sort of city of Oklahoma, which is absolutely amazing. And it was fantastic to see, to be honest. You look at a player that's risen, and you look at a player that's come right to the top. It's phenomenal, because a player that clearly wanted a lot. Clearly wanted a lot more, and wanted to be part of the bigger picture in football, and obviously has that dream of going to the Premier League, which is sensational. And I think that's really exciting to see, and to see everything that Daryl Dike's come from. We'll be chatting a lot about that in this video. And he went on to play for Oklahoma City Energy, which is sort of the big team in Oklahoma, at the under-23 sides of that, and sort of reserves. And he managed 3 goals in 4 appearances. These are just sort of facts that I found about him, around on the internet, which is pretty amazing. That he was picking up goals, even for under-23s teams. At the age of what would have been very young for him. I mean, in 2016 and 2017, 2018, he'd have literally been 17 or 18 years old. So, yeah, he played for Oklahoma City Energy under-23 reserves, 3 in 4 appearances for him. He went through to play college soccer for the Virginia Cavaliers, which is, again, another big step up for him. Obviously, college is sort of the main. If you're not familiar with the sort of American football or soccer pattern up to the MLS, basically you sort of get into a college, you play you play football at your college, and you sort of come in and then you get selected for the super draft, which I'm sure we'll discuss in due course, because you get selected and you sort of get put forward, and you get picked by some of the MLS teams to go and get some experience there. So yeah, the Virginia Cavaliers was pretty impressive, to be honest. He's scoring the goals, potentially nearly all the goals for Virginia Cavaliers. Winning, named the NCAA Division I Men's Soccer Tournament Most Outstanding Player This is amazing. His first National College 8 award, additionally, named to the All ACC second team as well. I mean, this is sort of where he's starting to, pick up his trade, find his position as a striker. As you can see from some of the highlights that we've seen, he's still got that bulky, sort of powerful nature that perhaps we've seen on clips for Barnsley and the US men's national team as well. Coming through, he's always been that bulky, powerful striker, and it's nice to see that that's kind of come through. And he's one of the super drafts I've watched. The only super draft I think I can claim to have watched. I think there's one coming up quite soon this year, but the only super draft I've watched was in 2020, and that happened to be, which is quite funny for an Albion fan. It happened to be Daryl Dike's pick. Daryl Dike was selected as 5th choice by Orlando City to put into sort of comparison as to how he's as to how well he's done in comparison to others. Robbie Robinson, I remember being the first pick just simply because of the name. It's quite coincidental. 36 appearances, 4 goals since playing for Inter Miami. 2021, obviously got 4 goals in that season, didn't score once in his debut season. So, that is amazing to finish first and then not get that amount of goals. But then Daryl Dike to finish, well, not finish 5th, but be picked 5th. Who wasn't picking Daryl Dike? That's what I want to know. And then Jack Maher as well came second. Finished, was picked second in there by Nashville, who were obviously coming into the side. Obviously, the team that beat Orlando City in the playoffs so far in this particular season. He's joining San Diego on loan. At the age of 23, so which is pretty interesting. And then another one, Dylan Nealis, who's already ended up playing for 3 MLS teams in Nashville, New York Red Bulls, and also into Miami. And then there's Ryan Raposo, who's been pretty decent to be fair. Played quite a few games for Vancouver Whitecaps and got some game time. But Daryl Dike, I think, is the one that you have to look at as the real outstanding pick from that particular super draft. I think that's amazing how he's sort of come on to be, the big star from that, and to be picked 5th as well. I think it's amazing what were Inter Miami, Nashville, and Vancouver Whitecaps doing when they didn't pick Daryl Dike. But Orlando City certainly got the particular. The particular pick out of that bunch, to be honest. The Lions, had spent the Orlando City, the Lions, they'd spent 4 seasons as MLS franchise and selected 19-year-old Daryl Dike from Virginia to play for them. His debut came in July of 2020, and he had his first start for Orlando and scored against Inter Miami in that first game as well in 2020. And his first career brace came against Nashville, as I mentioned, the team that actually knocked Orlando City out of the playoffs in this particular one. So, 3 goals, 2 assists, and he won the Player of the Month for August of that month. So obviously the Super Draft sort of happens in January sort of time, so he didn't quite, get that debut immediately, but he certainly came in, and as soon as he came in, he made that impact for Orlando, and he made things, a hell of a lot better for them, and made things, twice as good as they'd already been in the striking department for them. You think. Everyone looks forward to a youth prospect. Everybody looks forward to having that sort of player in their team, and everyone looks forward to having one of their own play. Orlando, although not strictly from Orlando, it was amazing to see the way he's come through and the way he's kind of come in and then winning that Player of the Month award in August 2020. 3 goals and 2 assists. That is an incredible record. In that same October, he was announced as number 10 in the annual MLS Under 22 list. So. Number 10 in there, behind players, that are really good as well, such as, people that have done great things in the MLS. 22 is certainly not an old age for MLS players, and, there's lots of young prospects hanging about there, and I think Daryl Dike was certainly one of them. He became the first Orlando player to do that, actually, since 2017 as well, which is amazing. To see him getting in that MLS under 22 list. There's a lot of bright prospects about MLS. People count it off, people sort of strike it off as sort of a retirement home, but there's lots of young prospects in there. I can think of several off the top of my head that have sort of come through. Alphonso Davies is probably one of the bigger ones that, has gone to Bayern Munich from Vancouver Whitecaps. But yeah, back to Daryl Dike. He was nominated for the Young Player of the Year and finished 3rd in that, despite only playing since, as I said, since July time. and to be playing, to be finishing third as the highest ranked rookie. Obviously, the rookie is a popular American term for a player making their first season or making their first, sort of appearance coming through the academy, or coming through as a young player. As a rookie, to be nominated for the Young Player of the Year is pretty amazing for starters, but the highest ranked as well is pretty impressive, to say the least. Diego Rossi, I think, was the top player in that particular award ceremony. So yeah, that's the sort of standard you're aiming at. Diego Rossi, I think, has been linked to several clubs here in England. Yeah, I mean, following the conclusion of that season, he obviously joined Barnsley on deadline day of 2021, and he was signed up properly on the 1st of February. Let's include a loan deal with a $20 million option to buy, with a 20% sell-on clause as well. He only got a work permit, really, but he wouldn't have been allowed one if he hadn't made his US men's national team debut before the day before in a 7-0 win against Trinidad and Tobago. He made his debut then, and that meant that he could indeed play for Barnsley and come into the Championship and get that work permit for that sort of time. He made his debut for Barnsley as a 59th minute substitution in a 1-0 defeat against Chelsea in the FA Cup. He scored 9 goals, as we know, in 13 starts, as we mentioned so many times in other videos about Daryl Dike. If you haven't checked them out, make sure you go and do so. And this really alerted England to his potential. Of course, along with playing for Barnsley and doing so well, helping them to a playoff campaign with Valérien Ismaël, he did such a great job, and he played to such a high standard in that division, and he played also for the US men's national team at the 2021 CONCACAF Gold Cup. Scored his first competitive goals as he scored a brace in the 6-1 win against Martinique in the group stage as well. I mean, it is amazing to see his rise, and came back to the MLS actually in the 2021 season and scored 10 goals in 18 appearances as well. What an absolute player that we might have on our hands here at West Bromwich Albion. But now back to present day, where he is, of course, at West Bromwich Albion, signed on a $7 million deal from Orlando City with a 4.5-year contract, 20% sell-on fee as well, and some performance-based fees as well for Orlando. I mean, he looks the player, and he's clear that he's got that natural goal-scoring ability. He scored goals wherever he's been, and of course has got that ability. 58 appearances at professional level and 30 goals. It's a very, very good record for Daryl Dike, and we can't wait to see how he gets on at West Bromwich Albion. Comment your thoughts, whether you've watched him already, whether you're looking forward to watching him. But that is the rise of Daryl Dike. If you'd like to hear me do this for another West Bromwich Albion player, maybe another new signing if we end up making one, drop your comments down below. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed hearing a bit of an insight into how Daryl Dike got to where he is today. But yeah, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, comment your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.